Good morning. Welcome to Rendell's Urban Farm. This is our third garden tour of the year. I only waited 2 weeks this time instead of like 4 to do the next one. So I'm gonna take you around the garden, show you what we've got going on. And we also had a special request to talk about what we used to build our gardens. So I'm gonna talk about that as well. All right, so this first garden, this is our main vegetable garden, is primarily in ground, but we did want to keep the grass at bay. So we put cedar fencing boards. We just dug them into the ground and we attached probably 6-inch long stakes to them and just pounded them in, and they've stayed put pretty well. They've sort of kept the grass out, but they've at least given us a definitive marker for the edge of the garden. We put our garden in back in spring of 2020 when material prices were through the roof, so that was the most affordable thing we found, and it's worked great for us. As we enter the garden, we've got peppers here. This little jalapeno is producing one giant jalapeno, but not really growing much. And we've got a couple bell peppers, our classic Nepali orange pepper variety, and then we've got green beans. Well, they're purple beans actually. These are a variety called Purple Dove bush beans. And we've already had a harvest big enough for one meal out of those. Eggplant, which are starting to grow. They're a little slow. Nasturtiums. We've got some carrots here, and these are about ready to harvest, honestly. Then we've got bush beans, and these are pole beans, and they are really taking off. I had to trellis some strings to the top of our other trellis because they outgrew this shorter trellis way too fast. Over here we've got zucchini, and we just pulled a giant baseball bat sized zucchini off of this last night. I don't see any other young zucchinis though. It's kind of a mess in here because we weeded last night and didn't pull all the weeds out yet. We've got our onions, which unfortunately I waited too long to cut the tops off of. These ones still standing up will continue to bulb up, but most of the onions, the tops have fallen over already, and that they will stop growing once the tops fall over. So it's helpful to trim the tops off so that they're not too heavy and they don't fall over. This first tomato here on the back trellis is called Russian number 117. This is a heirloom heart-shaped paste tomato that we're really excited to try this year. Got a giant swath of cilantro. And a banana Russian here, which we have already had one ripe tomato from this variety. And we've got a church tomato. These guys get really big and impressive looking. Then we've got our smileys, Anna Russian, Heidi hiding behind the very large butternut squash that is attempting to take over the garden. We've got a little Nepali pepper here, and this one's got some little fruits on it. We've got our marigold bush in front of an orange banana tomato, which is about to start cranking them out. We've got Cherokee purple tomato, Opalka, another Cherokee purple, Cosmonaut Volkov, and Cosmonaut Volkov with this. I pruned off the branches to trellis this better, and I evidently should have left some more branches protecting this tomato. You can see it's got a bit of sun scald on here. We'll just cut that out and eat around it. But this is a really pretty tomato. One of our first full-size red tomatoes to ripen so far. Got some sunflowers down here. And then on the other side of the garden, let's make our way back, we've got giant Long Island cheese pumpkin here. And let's see if we can see any. Yep, we've got a little baby pumpkin there. And there should be a few more in here somewhere. They're hard to spot sometimes. And then we've got our Chicago warded Hubbard trying to take over the world here. That's a baby Hubbard. So the Hubbard and the cheese pumpkin are all intertwined in this jungle. You can see there's a baby Hubbard there and a much larger baby Hubbard there. So those plants are going berserk. Then we've got our other trellis of pole beans, which those are more than 8 feet tall now. And we've got marigolds. These are pink Berkeley tie-dye. This one here that's got this strange look is called cat-faced. It happens when you get fused blossoms where multiple blossoms get stuck together, and so that's actually multiple tomatoes that got fused together. But you can see a regular looking one just looks like that. And those will be pinkish wine colored when they get ripe. And we've got acorns. This is a kabocha squash out here behind the trellis. Another Heidi tomato, and a Russian. These ones are kind of an interesting shape. Smiley, which it is the year for Smiley. Last year was not the year for Smiley, but these guys are beautiful. Right here we have a little organza bag. We are trying to quarantine the blossoms so that they don't get cross-pollinated and we can save seeds and have our Smiley seeds continue on next year. These are church tomatoes, which are more impressive than the ones on the other side. Look at how huge those guys are. They're almost softball size. Don't want that on there. Alright, and then we've got a banana Russian. This is a plant we had a ripe one off of already. And Inchiardi paste, which is a famous paste tomato that almost died out because of how few seeds it produces, which is a good thing for canning. Then we've got acorn squash out here. You can see a little baby one there. You've got a very happy sunflower. And this is the kabocha. Got some basil. You can see there's a nice little baby kabocha. And another one there. And then here is another look at our giant Hubbard and cheese pumpkin entanglement over here. And our nice giant Hubbard. So in this garden we have a couple other structures we use for growing plants on. This is our cattle panel trellis here. And it just consists of T-posts. These are 8-foot tall T-posts. They go, actually they're 10 feet T-posts. They go about 2 feet into the ground, and then they're 8 feet out of the ground, and then just the cattle panels. We have cattle panel trellises down both sides, and that's what we use for our tomatoes. And then down here at the end, we have a section of just T-post with the PVC pipe across the top. And we ran paracord down from the top up there to the ground where the beans were started. and we ran the beans up those, and they are doing really phenomenal. We've done tomatoes like that before, but it was just too much work constantly tying them to the paracord, and the beans will climb it on their own. This flower garden really needs to be weeded, but I'll show you what we've got going here with the, we just used a landscaping border rock here, and this was more than half of these rocks were here, or bricks I guess you'd say, were here when we bought the house, and then we just bought the matching ones to fill it in. So that was nice that they were already here. We've got blueberry bushes, salvia, no, that's Veronica, more blueberries, calendula, more blueberry bush, and some other flowers in the shade garden. Finally got our garlic harvested this week. This braid here is our soft neck variety, and then we've got hard neck variety. I believe the hard necks are music or German red. And we've got our container tomatoes here. We've got ruby slippers, ildy. These ones are kind of a fun shape here. Little teardrop. Moonlight Mile, which has the variegated foliage. This one's not supposed to have variegated foliage. It's got some sort of sunburn probably. That's Emerald City. And then we've got Yellow Brick Road. This one had one tomato on it that turned ripe, but it's got blossom end rot, so that one unfortunately won't be any good. Basil and a dwarf eagle smiley tomato, and our purple cabbages, which hopefully will produce a head sometime soon. I think they were supposed to have done so by now. These are green cabbage. We keep this stuff covered because the moths evidently are more attracted to the green cabbage than the purple cabbage. And we've got our trial tomatoes from Seed Savers Exchange, Subarctic Plenty, Primus, and Droplet. And then over in our greenhouse, we've got lots of peppers, and you'll be able to see how much more fruit we've got on these today than just even a couple weeks ago. We've got some fun shaped, funky hot peppers here. We've got sheep-nosed pimento back here. We've got, oh, this is Carolina amethyst, and that turns purple. It's lovely. Another bell pepper of some sort. Purple bell pepper, green bell pepper, more green bell peppers. And then we've got fish pepper here, and I don't know if you can see the striping on this pepper, but the pepper itself is a little bit variegated too, kind of like the foliage. Then we've got some micro cherry tomatoes. This one is Rosy Finch. Then we've got Bonsai and Snedrick. More peppers. Oh, you can see here, this fish pepper, maybe it's more obvious that it's striped there. Those will turn red with the nice white stripes. We've got Bulgarian carrot peppers back here, Kalugaritsa, Zola Stitzy, which is a yellow bell pepper, jalapenos, Purple Beauty, Corbaci, which are these crazy curly things, and another sheep-nosed pepper. Out front we don't have a whole lot going on. We've got this cucumber plant here, an indigo apple tomato, we've got our container tomatoes here, and we've got a Purple Beauty bell pepper here, Jimmy Nardello, some gladiolas, and a jalapeno. And we harvested all the garlic. Now I just need to pull the weeds, and we're going to put cabbage in one and cucumbers in the other. Beds up here. I'll talk about how we made them. Alright, so we built most of our gardens in 2020 or 2021 when material prices were skyrocketing. So the garden beds out front, we used cedar fence boards. They're about 6 inches wide by 6 feet long. And we just used 2 of those for the height and then tacked them to 2x4s, made a square, and the beds are maybe 5 feet by 4 feet. And that's what we did for the raised beds in the front. We found that those are the cheapest and most reasonably durable for garden beds, raised beds. They're definitely not going to last 10 years, maybe. Well, we already had to fix one of them this year. Thank you for joining me for this Rundle's Urban Farm Week 3 garden tour. Hope you enjoyed seeing what we've got going on and hearing about how we built our gardens, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.